Bickley and Marotta Mornings. Arizona Sports. The local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
Congratulations to the Phoenix Suns for a record not likely to be broken anytime soon. They are a $400 million basketball team that has now lost successive home games by 30 or more points for the first time in team history. And in between that was another demoralizing road loss in Minnesota where Anthony Edwards clowned on the team's generous owner and nobody in his employ seemed to care. Now, just when you think the team had found something, the floor and the standards drop even lower. Last night, the Suns even butchered a 3-on-1 fast break that turned into a dunk on the other end. And after Dylan Brooks was ejected for taking liberties with KD, it was the Rockets who responded with a 23-9 run. How foolish I feel for buying into that 4-game winning streak. Remember, it was Tim Ring who told us about terminal lucidity, the phenomenon where a dying patient will suddenly have a couple of days of clarity that really comforts members of his or her family, and that's exactly what it looks like with the Suns and what happened during their winning streak. But now the lucidity is gone, and all that's left is the terminal patient, and I think even the most diehard fans agree it's about time to pull the plug. All right, today's Bickley Blast brought to you by my great friends at Chapman BMW who make luxury attainable. Find them online at chapmanbmw.com.
You know, a couple days ago, we'd won 4 games in a row, so we got to find a way to get back to that. You know, this league, you're going to get another game. But, you know, tonight, not good. So, but we got to find a way to flip it and be better.
Not good. That works. It's a good descriptor.
Oh, yeah. Not
Suns
good.
gave up 46 points in the second quarter, the most points they've given up in a single quarter in a game this year.
Oh, yes. So let's get into the head coach real briefly, if you don't mind. Because Stephen A. Smith, in a tweet after the game yesterday, zoomed right in on Mike Budenholzer. And there's a feeling going around the NBA that Mike Budenholzer will indeed pay for the season with his job, which will mean Matt Ishbia will be hiring the 4th head coach in 4 years. It's a bad look. But bad looks shouldn't prevent you from making necessary changes. I don't know what it accomplishes, but I do think this team, they have got to find a way to get the right coach in here and quit making mistakes when it comes to their head coach. If you are really blaming and targeting the head coach as the number one culprit, then you've also got to look in the mirror and say, why do we keep hiring the wrong guy?
Oh, I think there's responsibility there too. They go through these processes. They went through the process and, you know, did they kick the tires enough? Now, again.
Did they get enamored by the name and the championship 2 times in a row?
How do you not? He's a 2-time coach of the year. He's got a championship. He's coached 2 teams to 60 wins.
Mm-hmm.
He has had success in connecting with players before.
He has.
Why is the connection not happening here?
Yeah.
And look, we saw
a great question.
A similar string with the old regime of going through head coaches. But those were all head coaches that previously had no experience, that were bought on the cheap to sort of, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The Igor Krukovskovs and Lindsey Hunters and all those things. And then they're doing just the opposite. They're paying big money to big-name coaches, and now this is not working with a whole different regime.
Yeah. And the issue is, what is the Suns, can we even say what their identity is, what their culture is right now? Do they even have one?
No, I mean, they were supposed to be a great offensive team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're okay offensively. But defensively, there's been a couple of anomalies that have popped up where they've played good defense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it stands out on individual possessions. That's how fleeting it is.
Mm-hmm.
It is, and the defense last night was non-existent. I mean, the Rockets were a shot away from putting 150 points on the Suns. Here was Mike Budenholzer on that.
Yeah, I mean, tonight they had everything. You know, they were, you know, the three-point line. You know, they hurt us there. They hurt us on the offensive boards. They hurt us driving it. They basically hurt us with everything. So I think today was or tonight was a step in the wrong direction. So, we got to look at it and find a way to get ready for Tuesday and find a way to get stops.
Look, and Mike Budenholzer's got to be at his wit's end, but he does not let anybody know he's at his wit's end with the post-game press conferences where it's always we gotta or credit to them or this or that. I mean, the lack of palpable frustration displayed by this team has been maybe one of the most alarming things.
I could not agree with you more. The reaction to what they've put forth has really been inappropriate on many, many occasions.
Yep.
Many occasions.
The word flush has been used a lot this year. Devin Booker used it last night.
Win the next game. A night this bad, I feel we have to flush it, go get Milwaukee, and start the road trip off the right way.
For a team that plays its home games in the middle of a desert, the amount of flushing the Phoenix Suns have done this year is irresponsible.
Yes.
Ecologically.
Yeah. Well, you haven't seen this much flushing since the Intuit Dome, Jarrett.
I haven't seen this much flushing since Bean Night.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. You've really had to make it personal, didn't you? Yeah, listen, it's so bothersome to me. It was almost predictable. On Friday, we talked about, okay, this is a must-win game for this team. If you're really, really serious about turning this season around, and we talked about how you're going up against two teams. These are the teams that really seem to make the Suns shrivel. Physical, agitating, in your face, swarm Devin Booker, yap a lot, showboat, and the Suns are a team that just does not want that smoke. They just don't. They have made that crystal clear this year.
And big picture too. This year's Phoenix, and you could say it for the last few years, but really this year's team is a team that opponents take great pleasure in beating. They take great pleasure in disrespecting.
Yes.
On the regular,
yes,
this happens.
Yes, that's very, very true. And then Friday night too. This phenomenon. The phenomenon of Kevin Durant stands celebrating every time Devin Booker has a really bad game, that has got to stop.
Well, it's going to.
Right. I mean, again, it's so, I don't know. It's Devin Booker has a real tough time with Jaden McDaniels. That has been very well established. In fact, as a source had told me, Jaden McDaniels was one of the pieces coming back here had that Minnesota trade for KD gone through. But nothing was going through.
No. It's alarming.
It is alarming
that we're at this point.
I just cannot believe they reverted back to being that team.
I'm Kellen Olson. Goodbye.
Yeah, again, in case you missed the data from last night's game, first time in Suns history they've lost back-to-back home games by 30 or more points. And in the process, the 69 combined total points in those defeats to Boston and Houston set a new NBA record for biggest point differential in losses in back-to-back home games for any franchise ever.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing. That's what it is.
Look, the most improbable / impossible thing would be the Suns finding something in these last 7 games. If you still have hope, God bless you. You're an optimistic person.
Yeah. Especially with KD being gone for the foreseeable future.
And especially with the Kings and Mavs playing okay enough that they're not just going to completely lose every single game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we had diagnosed that as a 3-team race, and whoever was going to get that play-in spot, the number 10 spot, was the team that sucked the least out of the last of those 3.
Right.
And you can't even make that claim.
I know.
Ugh.
I know. It's disgusting.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.